Located on the Moselle River, Trier is the oldest city in Germany. Settled by the Romans around the year 18 BC, it quickly became a population center and later the seat of power of the Holy Roman Empire. Today, because of its beautiful architecture, cultural attractions, and its location in one of the world's most renowned winemaking regions, Trier has a charm all its own. One of the city's most interesting monuments is the Porta Nigra. The Porta Nigra is a magnificent 2nd century Roman city gate, which got its name, meaning the Black Gate, in the Middle Ages because of its weathered color. 1700 years after its construction, the Porta Nigra is still impressive, at 36 meters long, 36 meters wide, and 27 meters high. The entire structure was constructed without the use of mortar. The sandstone blocks are connected only by iron rods. The stone blocks weigh as much as 6 metric tons each. 2 gateways lead into a small inner courtyard, where unfortunate intruders would be trapped and covered in tar. Above are 2 tiers of defense galleries with large open windows. The gate is flanked by 2 towers, a 4-story western tower and the 3-story unfinished eastern tower. The Porta Nigra, the oldest defensive structure in Germany, was erected in about 180 AD when the Roman city was surrounded by walls. Trier was a Roman colony from the 1st century AD and by the 2nd century had become an important trading center. It was made one of the imperial capitals under the Tetrarchy at the end of the 3rd century and became known as the Second Rome. The Porta Nigra is the only one of Trier's 4 Roman gates still standing. The others were gradually pillaged for their stone and iron. The Porta Nigra survived because it was used as the humble residence of a hermit monk named Simeon for 7 years in the 11th century. After his death, he was buried in the gate, and the structure was transformed into the 2-story Church of St. Simeon, composed of a lay church on the bottom floor and a monastery church on top. The Electoral Palace was built under Prince Elector van Walderdorff, who came to power in the 18th century. Only the southern wing of the ambitious project, the Rococo Palace, was actually built. The palace's roquet balustrade is considered a masterpiece of the German Baroque. Trier Cathedral and the Church of Our Lady originated as a double church, built in the 4th century. 2 almost directly adjacent buildings, a south church and a north church, were constructed in 326 under the Emperor Constantine on the site of the present cathedral and church. The Cathedral of Trier is the oldest church north of the Alps that can claim a continuous tradition of worship from the Roman era. A considerable part of its walls are still in their original position, which now forms the core of the whole building complex. As early as the 19th century, extensive restorations were begun in the cathedral, which initially had as their goal the restoration of the church's medieval appearance. The cathedral's interior combines a Romanesque structure with Baroque decoration and Gothic vaulting and archways. It is laid out as a triple nave, 2-choir basilica, with a transept and 6 towers. Significant elements of the medieval furnishings of the church interior have been preserved: choir walls, burial monuments, structural sculptures. The cathedral's magnificent pulpit draws the gaze towards the center of the church. The iconography on the main body of the pulpit gives a lively representation of the acts of charity. The altar of St. Catherine and the All Saints altarpiece are two of the significant furnishings that adorn the cathedral. The cathedral's remarkable organ, with its 5,602 pipes, is the work of the German firm Orgelbau Cloister. The altar of St. John the Baptist, situated at the east end of the southern aisle, is embellished with a series of priceless sculptures by Hoffmann. The altar of the Resurrection and tomb altar of Archbishop von Schönborn is adorned with marble work by J. Strahl. The high altar of the Trier Cathedral was opened in 1512, and the precious relic of the Holy Robe of Christ was found inside, along with other important relics from the Holy Land. The great marble structure in the east chancel was completed in 1699. The east crypt of St. Helena, the mother of the Emperor Constantine, has the same outline as the chancel above it, but its vault is supported by 2 rows of clustered pillars. The height, size, and above all the wide intervals between the pillars, which towards the front diminish the accelerative effect, produce an effect of almost suspended lightness. In architecture, a crypt is a stone chamber or vault beneath the floor of a church, usually used as a chapel or a burial vault, possibly containing sarcophagi, coffins, or relics. After the cathedral interior had been completed, a new cloister was built. 2 Romanesque halls of exceptional beauty have survived on the north side. The new cloister was built after the middle of the 13th century, parallel to and in stylistic connection with the construction of the Church of Our Lady. Built on 2 stories, it is a jewel of European cloister architecture and still mirrors something of the life of a medieval cathedral chapter. A cloister is a rectangular open space surrounded by covered walkways or open galleries, with open arcades on the inner side running along the walls of buildings and forming a quadrangle or garth. The attachment of a cloister to the cathedral, commonly against a warm southern flank, usually indicates that it is part of a monastic foundation, forming a continuous and solid architectural barrier. Historically, the early medieval cloister had several antecedents, including the peristyle court of the Greco-Roman domus, the atrium and its expanded version that served as forecourt to early Christian basilicas, and certain semi-galleried courts attached to the flanks of early Syrian churches. The Church of Our Lady is a 13th century parish church, separated from the Trier Cathedral by a narrow passageway. Built in the Gothic style, it makes an attractive counterpart to its older Romanesque neighbor. The form of the windows is early Gothic. Only the round arched windows of the crossing tower have Romanesque elements. The colorful stained glass windows of the choir are also noteworthy. The Apostles and the 12 Articles of the Apostles' Creed are painted on the 12 supporting columns, completely visible only from one spot, marked by a black stone. The church contains several important tombs, including that of a local nobleman, Karl von Metternich. Adorned with sculptures and tombs, the cloister linking the two churches is small but lovely, and provides an interesting perspective of the contrasting architecture of the two buildings. Trier's historical baths were built under Emperor Constantine in the first half of the 4th century, though they were never used for the intended purpose. When Constantine left Trier, the spacious symmetrical bathhouse was probably still an unfinished shell, and his successors remodeled it completely. Measuring 150 by 145 meters, this complex was one of the biggest baths in antiquity. In the Middle Ages, it served as the corner bastion of the city walls, and a window of the Caladium was used as a city gate until the 19th century. Several excavations have uncovered the entire complex, and following restoration and reconstruction work, the original structure is now clearly visible. Particularly impressive is the ruins' external masonry, with alternating layers of limestone blocks and brickwork arranged in careful patterns. The splendor of the whole shows the special importance enjoyed by Roman baths as bathing and sporting institutions and as social meeting places. A hollow floor heating system heated the pool floors, as well as the rectangular central part of the vaulted hall. The philosopher, economist, and social critic Karl Marx was born in a typical simple Trier family residence in 1818. Today, the Karl Marx house contains a museum operated by the Friedrich Ebert Foundation, with extensive documents on the life and work of Marx. Each floor of the house museum has a display related to a different aspect of Marx's life: the eventful history of the Baroque house, Marx's roots in education, as well as the biographies of the leading intellectuals who influenced the young Marx. Trier is Germany's oldest city, a symbol of the passage of time. The romantic town on the Moselle River is characterized by its important architectural monuments, churches, and Roman ruins.